Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Extra Points. Eric Schmoldt here with John Barry. And we're officially have reached the part of spring where one day we go cover baseball games in coats and hats, and the next day we are sweating in polo shirts at a softball game.
Yeah, crazy, but good. I mean, I think just teams get better, kids get better. I think when it warms up, and I think it's not only just baseball and
Crowds
softball.
get better.
Crowds get better, but I think track, soccer, I think everything. You're more comfortable when you're not standing by a heater in the dugout or whatever in between innings. So.
In the spring, as we said before, we just try to do our best to blaze through things and keep you posted on the biggest things that have gone on over the last week or what's coming up for this week. So I'm just going to toss it straight to you, and you tell us where we're going to get started this week.
Well, I think obviously you could start with baseball, and still with things on the east side of Janesville with the Craig baseball team, currently still ranked third. Got a chance to see them play on Saturday and beat the defending state champion Burlington Demons. Some
kind of a, I don't know, you can't put a ton of stock into that game
just
because
pitching.
Both teams are at the end of a long week, and I think by the end there were, at least for Elkhorn, there were guys out there that don't pitch a whole lot, but hey, you can't take away from the fact that it was a win. And
no, and I think
alive.
lineup-wise, it's the lineups you probably would see in a tournament game. So, I mean, from that sense, and a lot of names from Burlington I remembered from last year when Craig had beaten him, and Jake Lindeman, their Wichita State recruit, who had Tommy John surgery in October, I think it was playing first base and throwing during infield. I was just stunned. I've never heard of that.
I don't know. That seems scary to me, but
I can't believe Wichita State would be real happy about that. But anywho,
was he throwing with his other arm?
No, he was throwing his right hand, throws over to third on infield and things like that. So I got a chance to look at the WIA pairings, and if Craig and Burlington were to both make it to state, they would meet potentially in the semifinal game.
One round later, yeah.
1 round later than last year. So, but I mean, the Cougars still on a collision course with it would be their third in a row for Big 8 championship, and they've got some games left, but they're in pretty good shape.
I think the big baseball story of the week to me is Evansville and Jefferson over in the Rock Valley North. They come into the week, I think Evansville has a half game lead or something like that. They have 3 games to play this week, and Jefferson has 2, and they play a home and home Tuesday and Thursday.
Right.
Thursday's game at Evansville. Jefferson, a team that's been ranked all year. Evansville, a team that I think has gotten better every week, it seems like, and a team that made it to sectionals last year, so it's not that big of a surprise, but nice to see a race like this come down to the end, and with that home and home schedule, the way that it sorts out, it makes it even more fun, I think.
And you don't forget Whitewater. Even though Whitewater's got a nice team, they're not going to win the Rock North, but they played spoiler. They beat Jefferson once last week, so a good test for the Blue Devils. Brian Kashore's got a nice team, best team he's had in a while, and a lot of those kids are 2 and 3 sport athletes that you recognize the names from basketball and from football and wrestling and among others. And I think for the Blue Devils, tonight, meaning Tuesday, they go on the road. If they could get a win today at Jefferson to start the week, then they get them at home on Thursday. So a big game tonight for the Blue Devils, and another big one for them on Thursday. And then, like you said, depending on how things shake out, their makeup game with Edgerton could decide the Rock Valley North on Friday.
Yes, so interesting, busy week there. Softball, it's kind of hard to believe, but we're wrapping up. Even the Big 8 conference is done this week, and it's here already.
Yeah, seeding meetings Wednesday night, tomorrow night. I'm talking to Tony DeDewar last week when I covered an Edgerton game, and again, that their sectional is going to be loaded. I mean, there's going to be a team that won't get out of regional that's probably good enough to play at state, but that's just the way it is. And I think
it's like that way in that sectional every year.
Yeah.
It's great for competition, but not so much fun if you think, hey, we've had a pretty good year,
yeah.
And now we don't even get a chance to even work our way into sectionals or anything like that. But I mean, I think, like you said, Edgerton's there. I think they only lost to Turner 4-1 on Monday night.
Right.
Turner, obviously, Packard, we've talked about before, is red hot right now. Delvin Darien even beat Union Grove on Monday night, so they're heating up. Delara had 3 home runs and 10 RBIs in one game last week. That was a little ridiculous.
It's not bad.
So
That's a good month from a good year for a lot of kids.
And then we haven't even talked about Monroe or McFarland or in Evansville. I mean,
yeah,
it's a long list in that section.
It's loaded, and if it comes down to pitching, certainly Packard's as good as I've seen this year. But Hovland from McFarland throws well. Speth at Delavan is certainly capable of tossing a gem. It's going to come down to pitching, and don't forget Kelsey Kishore at Evansville. I mean, and she's probably, as dynamic a dual threat as there is because she can hit as well. I see
another walk-off
home run last week. So I mean, it's a great sectional. It's just too bad that they're all lumped in together.
And we'll see where Craig kind of works itself out with all those other lake schools that are in Division One, like
right.
Westosha, Union Grove, Wilmot, even Elkhorn this year playing pretty well. That always makes that section a little interesting when Craig's got to start going up against teams
right.
they haven't seen all year, and they didn't get to play that game against Wilmot because they had to make up a game with Parker last week, so that one never matriculated. But those are kind of the storylines on the Diamond.
Yep.
Track. We've got the conference meets either already done or coming up right away, and we're hitting into regionals early next week. The Big 8 meet on Friday. We saw a couple of Janesville winners, Peyton Sippy twice in the mile and the 2 mile.
That's tough to do on the same night. Usually, like if you get to the state meet and qualify in the 1600 and the 32, they're run on, one's run on Friday and one's run on Saturday. Whereas, at the Big 8 meet, you run the mile and then probably maybe an hour later you got to come back and run the 2 miles. So for Peyton Sippy to kind of do that is pretty impressive. And
just a junior now, and think of this too. When you go back to cross country, then she's the conference champion, the 1 mile, the 2 mile, and basically the 3 mile, 3.1 or whatever,
right.
5K. But
and Nate
that's
Farrell,
pretty cool.
Chose to run the 800. I'm not sure what what he'll do come tournament time when the regional comes, but chose to run the 800 and blistering time. I think he was 155 or 156, something like that, and he won a conference title. And then, of course, on the west side, Julie Hartwig, who hasn't lost all year in the shot put, whether track or dual meet or invitationals, won again, and her throws are starting to get a little bit more distance on them. So
like you said, the warmth, I think, sometimes kind of helps some of that throwing as well.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
And I think they were happy with Tina Shelton, too. A couple of second-place finishes for somebody who's just a freshman.
Right.
Pretty impressive. And the Rock Valley was on Saturday. Ashlyn Oren, as we expected, from Edgerton. She's just been a monster her first 2 years, and now as a junior has a chance to, I think, go do some really special things, whether it's running the 100 or part of a relay or jumping. She's just kind of a freak athlete.
Yeah, she is. And, along with her, I thought that 4x4 400 team of Wellhausen and D'Amico and was it D'Amico? Demko. I'm sorry. Yep, Demko.
Azarco on that one.
Yep. I think it was 402, which is moving. That means you've got almost 4 girls running under 1 minute 400s, and that's impressive. And that's a team to keep an eye on once they roll into the state tournament as well. So again, and you said it, when the weather heats up, times tend to come down, and that's kind of what we're seeing, and I would expect that to continue.
Tennis starts postseason this week. Soccer, apologies to Evansville. The Gazette Kiss of Death works again. We write the feature on Anna Eager scoring all the goals over the weekend, and McFarland beats them on Monday. It sounds about typical for around here.
Sports Illustrated jinx, yeah.
But those conference races are, that one's going to be a good one. Craig's got a chance to
with
play
a
a role here.
Huge game tonight with Madison West, the defending Division I state runner-up a year ago. And
then host Verona on Thursday.
Then they host Verona on Thursday. So you'll know a lot more about this young Cougar team after the end of this week because they'll be tested. And I know in talking to Coach McCabe last week, they beat New Berlin West or they tied New Berlin West on Saturday, and he wasn't real pleased with not the effort, but just how they kind of went through the motions a little bit. He felt like they could have done some more things, but
it seems to me they get up for these Big 8 games, and on some of these non-conference ones, maybe that's all happened with a young team where you're just not quite as excited about it or something like that.
And that makes sense, but they'll be excited about tonight. I can tell you that.
What else? Anything else we're missing?
I don't think so. No. Tennis we touched on.
Golf.
Golf will be rolling in. The Big 8 meet Thursday at Evansville, and both Craig and Parker shot their lowest scores of the season last week, and then for Parker at 317 or 312, probably the lowest they've gone in a long time. All 4 golfers were in the 70s.
They get to host regionals.
Matt Zimmerman, too, Michael Henry, Spencer Orley, and
Nick Sitter.
Nick Sitter were the 4 that broke 80 for Parker. And I know in talking to Sam Van Gelder, the assistant coach, he said we were close, and that kind of proved Sam was right, because anytime you get all 4 golfers breaking 80, you've done some good things. And the Cougars the same way. They're young as well, but both those teams, regionals at Riverside, and then they got to go to Lake Geneva, where Lake Geneva will be the favorite. But 2 teams can go, so
try to get that second spot.
Try to get to that second spot. Yep.
Exactly. If you have your best day, you never know.
You never know. Nope.
But yeah, Thursday at Big 8 could be interesting, because if they hit the numbers that they have hit at times, they could be right there in that Big 8 mix. A lot of times when they've shot those low numbers, though, like a Middleton or someone else has shot even lower. So we could see some nice rounds at
Evansville. Is definitely a course management type of. That's the way you've got to play. You can't just bang your driver on every hole, and because it's tight in some areas, and it really comes down to course management, hitting the right clubs, backing off a little bit, instead of pin seeking and trying to get the birdies, just get on in regulation and 2-putt and get your par and be done. And I think a lot of times that's when you see scores kind of balloon, is when kids go after it instead of just playing conservative, because it's not a course that you're gonna eat up. I mean, scores, you might see 1 or 2 that are around par, but the most of them are going to be your 76, 77, something like that. So, but a good test, and that leads into the regionals next week, like we talked about, at Riverside on Wednesday, followed by the sectional that following Monday at the Trevino course, I think it is, at Lake Geneva. Does that sound right?
We can look that up.
Okay.
We'll be back here again next week. Tournament time's here, though, so
is.
follow along with us.
Buckle up.
Follow along on Twitter at GazetteExtra.com. If you think we got a storyline here at the end that we haven't touched on here, and you want us to give it a shout out, we're certainly all ears.
We are.
Sometimes hard to keep track of everything that's going on, but we do our best, and we'll be here again next week to try to keep you updated.
Take care, everybody.